And then we'll start the second panel, which is the practicalities of this. We talked about the stories, but how do we practically do this? So how was the first half of this program? Yeah? Who wants to share one of their takeaways? Just a quick, I'm leaving here with XYZ.
Hello? Okay. Hi.
Yes.
I think one of my biggest takeaways is that I'm proud to be Nigerian.
Ooh.
That's all I have to say. Because hearing all of your stories and hearing your confidence and how you go through the world, whether that is here, like we're very adaptable beings. And I just want to say, like, I'm very proud to be Nigerian.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you for reminding me.
Anyone else? Takeaway. You came here while you're eating. You came here thinking one thing and then you left thinking another thing. I can share one takeaway. I've known Mojang forever. One of my takeaways is that, sis, you're doing the thing. Like, you're doing the thing. I admire the level of confidence that you have. And you said, what, you were 25, 26 when you're like, yeah, I'm just going to pitch myself and, the Minister of Health is going to hire me and I'm going to come and revolutionize healthcare. So, yeah. And I'm also going to make like little meat pies on the side. She is who she is. You are who you think you are. So that was one of my biggest takeaways. I appreciated that. Just getting to see you in a different light. It's so funny when you see like Lagos is very Egbon Aburu culture, but I love to see us at this level because everyone is such an expert in their own right, and it's beautiful to see. Any other takeaways before I jump right into the second panel? Yes, Mudre.
Hi guys, enjoy your food. I think my biggest takeaway is that we are all going through very similar things and have very similar stories. And I think it's just so nice to have a community where we can actually discuss them and not feel any sort of like angst or any sort of anxiety to share your story. And you can laugh about it because kind of laughing about it makes it a lot easier and like a bit more relatable because you're like, at that point in time, you're probably like very anxious about it or you're going through whatever you're going through and now you're looking back being like, someone else went through that. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, So I think, thank you everyone who shared their stories and I can't wait to hear everyone else's story because our stories make us who we are.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Mojang. Okay. We're going to jump into our second panel. This session is around the practicalities of moving back and what it just takes. So we're definitely going to get into, like, obviously people will still tell their story because they're still human beings, but the very practical ways to think about some of these things, the questions you should ask, all of those types of things. I'm going to get my sister to come back up to make the intro for the rest of the panel, and then we'll get started. Thank you.
Hello again. Hi. So in addition to Quinette, who's going to be part of this panel, I'm going to introduce yes, please. Please come up. Thank you. So in addition to Quinette and Ibiemi, we're going to have Onye on this panel. So let me tell you a bit about Onye. Onye Rumuna is a seasoned project manager, commercial management specialist, and legal professional with over a decade of experience across construction, real estate, finance, technology, and social impact sectors in Nigeria and the UK. Trained as a lawyer, she brings a strong grounding in contracts, governance, and regulatory frameworks paired with hands-on experience delivering complex, high-value projects. She has held senior leadership and advisory roles spanning the public and private sectors, including serving as an executive assistant at the Nigerian National Assembly, where she supported legislative work through high-level briefing, stakeholder coordination, and governance processes. She later built on this foundation in private practice and industry, advising and executing projects across property development, infrastructure delivery, and commercial strategy. Onye is the founder of 2 companies in real estate and construction, Rafters Properties and the Rebuild Projects, through which she has led and delivered multi-millionaire developments overseeing operations, finance, contracts, and resource management in complex, execution-heavy environments. As an executive and founder in the construction sector, she successfully led multi-million-dollar projects while ensuring efficiency in operations, finance, and resource management. She is known for approaching growth and delivery with structure, discipline, and a clear understanding of commercial and legal risk. In parallel with her professional career, Onye has played an active role in professional governance. She served as the youngest member of the Executive Council of the Nigerian Bar Association, Lagos branch from 2019 to 2021, contributing to member programs, administration, and institutional leadership at the country's largest bar associations. With experience spanning law, government, construction, and entrepreneurship, Onye speaks with clarity about navigating systems, managing uncertainty, and making informed decisions, particularly in the context of relocating to Nigeria and building sustainable personal and professional foundations. So please welcome Onye to the panel. Our final participant to this panel is going to be Aisha Adedeji. Born and raised in the UK, Aisha is a global banking professional and multi-platform entrepreneur with a career spanning 4 countries: the UK, Abu Dhabi, South Africa, and Saudi Arabia. Her first introduction to working in Nigeria came through a project for her UK employer, and in 2020, she unexpectedly found herself in Lagos for several months during global travel disruptions. That experience changed everything. It was during that period that she decided Nigeria would be home. She returned to the UK until 2022, and in 2023 made the full move back to Lagos, even though her entire family remains in the UK. Today, Aisha works in banking in Lagos and runs several impact-driven ventures. She's the co-founder of Coin IQ, a Saturday financial literacy school for children and teens, period. She also leads the Hustle Table, where she teaches practical money skills, career strategy, and wealth building for young professionals, and she operates a growing car fleet business. With her blend of international banking experience, returnee perspective, and commitment to financial education, Aisha speaks authentically about relocating to Lagos, rebuilding life from scratch, and creating opportunity through discipline, structure, and intentional hustle. So please welcome Aisha to the panel.
Did I do well or did I do well? Listen, there's some big madams on this table, right? So Quina is going to be talking to us about the perspective of moving back with kids. So you obviously had your son, and then in your transition, you were growing another, and now you have 2.
Yeah.
She said, yeah. Onye is going to talk about the perspective from a housing, finding a place to stay, shelter, just basic needs. And then Aisha is going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about the money. And I'm going to talk about careers, because this is my thing, right? Building your career, remote work, building a business, all of that kind of stuff. And hopefully between the 4 of us, we can answer all of the questions that people have around navigating your life and actually planning to do this. Okay, so first question. From your area of expertise, what is the biggest mistake people make when planning to move back? So from your perspective of bringing kids, what's the biggest mistake people make?
I think not doing enough research in terms of making sure that let's say schools, for instance, making sure that the schools you put your kids in are the right ones. And I'll give context because Nigeria is different. So if you're coming from the UK or Canada, in the UK, the curriculum will just be the UK system. I mean, there'll be some international schools, but most people will just go through the UK system. If you're coming from Canada, same thing. But then when you come to Nigeria, there are different kinds of schools. So there's American schools, there's schools with the British curriculum, there's French school, I think there's the Netherlands school. There are just so many different types of schools or international schools. That's one thing. Two, every school teaches in a different way. So I'm an advocate of making sure that your child is in a school that works for them and not just putting your child in a school because it's popular. So making sure you find the right school that works for how your child learns. Again, even within, if you decide, okay, I'm going to go for the British curriculum, even within all the British schools, there are different ways or different ways of teaching or different systems that they have. So you need to do that research. And then there's another layer if you have children with additional needs. What resources do they have? What is their send policy? What feedback do you have from other parents? I think getting feedback from parents is very important as well. So getting referrals. But then at the same time, you also need to do what's right for your child, because what works for one person's child may not necessarily work for yours. So there's a lot of research required. You might find yourself in a situation where it's trial and error, which was for me. So if you start in a school and you need to move your child out of that school, that's fine. It's better than just like keeping them there and just trying to make it work. And in Lagos, there's so much variety. I can speak for Lagos because that's the experience that I have. I know in Abuja there are schools, but I can speak for Lagos because there's just so much to choose from. So many, and they're good. So I think it's just focusing on making sure that you find the right one for your child. So before I came, I think I'd briefly spoken in the last panel. I was lucky because the lady I was working with happened to have worked in Nigeria for 4 years. But what she gave me guidance on was extra support, not necessarily the school. So I had to do the research on the schools. I already knew I wanted the British system. So if you're going for the British schools, the international schools will have registration with the relevant bodies. So make sure that they're registered, because anyone can open a school and call it international school. So you need to go and check that they're actually registered with the relevant bodies. I don't know what the bodies are for the different countries, but if from where you're coming from, you will know which ones are. So you need to verify that. Yeah, so definitely check that. And like I said, be open-minded as well. I think we started off in a school that just seemed very similar to his nursery in England. In fact, it was almost the same. We came here, it was fine, but then I've moved him to a school where it's even better. And he's doing much better. It's a different kind of school. It's still the British curriculum, but the way they do things is different. They focus on the individual as opposed to very academic. And that's another thing. Coming from the UK as a parent with young kids, Nigeria is very academic. So if you've been to school in Nigeria, you know it's academic anyway. But it was a shock for me because my son was 3. Usually in nursery, we'll just drop him off. He's going to play. When I pick him up, they tell me how his day went. Oh, he did this and he did that. So in Nigeria, I remember the first 3 weeks, he was getting so much homework and I didn't know. So they had to call me and say he's not doing his homework. And I was like, you give homework at this age? So he was behind. So that's another thing to prepare yourself for. It's very academic, which is good because coming from, it's good depending on the child. But then again, coming from the UK where, like I mentioned, my son had additional needs, they made it seem like it was impossible for him to do anything. And he's still thriving in a curriculum that in Nigeria, they teach them a year ahead of the year they're supposed to be in. So I'm like, okay, well, in England, they said it was impossible, but I found a school where they're taking their time with him and he's ahead of his peers that he left behind. So doing the research because the right school will give you the support. And sometimes it felt like they were doing things that I didn't know was possible, because in England they made it seem like it's not going to happen. Even down to potty training, they said, oh, it's going to take him time. He came to Nigeria within 2 weeks. He was potty trained. So this sounds like a small thing, but it was a big thing for me. So, just making sure you do your research. Make sure you find the right school for the child. I have another baby. He might end up in a different school because they're wildly different personalities. He's very social. So the school that my son is in right now may not work for him. Again, I mentioned the nuances. Even if you're going for a British school, some of them will be different in terms of size. So if your child is like the social type that needs to be around people, you probably want to put him in a bigger school. But if it's a child that needs, extra attention, look at the class sizes and things like that. But like I said, it's trial and error. We started off with one. We've moved him to another one, which is even better. So don't be also too scared to make the wrong decision, because there's a flexibility to move if you realize. And then the longer you stay here, the more you learn more about the schools. There's only so much research you can do online and speaking on the phone or coming for a day. So
I was just going to say that. Is there any are there any groups, websites that have things like grouped in order, or is literally just pure ChatGPT, Google combination, WhatsApp? Are there any places that people can go?
Funny enough, there isn't. I haven't used any groups.
So you might need to
So
start it.
that's actually a gap. I haven't used any groups. This was just pure research, which is why, like I said, I had the trial and error factor. I had to find out for myself. And it wasn't until I got here that I met other parents. So like, for instance, the first school that we were in, there's a parent there who had a child with additional needs, and she said she's going to move her child to this other school because they're better with this. Then I started thinking about it, and then you just meet people and they tell you your experiences. But I didn't have any groups. I don't know of any groups actually. So that's something that we definitely need. I think that would have been helpful, because then there would have been less mistakes.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there's a gap there and we are industrial women,
Yeah.
maybe you want to fill that gap.
Yeah. Good point.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, right? Like, if you've seen a true gap, because I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have kids, so for
Yeah.
me, I didn't even realize there were so many different curriculums that you can put your children in.
Yeah, in Lagos there are, because remember, Nigeria is you have so many Nigerians coming from the diaspora, and people are coming from different countries.
Yeah, they are.
Sometimes you focus on your friends from the UK, but there are people, like, you've come from Canada. There are people who have brought their kids from the US, and those are the systems that they know. So there are different schools for all those systems. There are people, I've also met friends, I've met people who fully British and decided to put their kid in a French school. I think you went to that school because she wanted a different experience you went to the school, okay.
I went to Korea. We did Nigeria curriculum.
Yeah, because she wanted a different experience for her child. She knows nothing about the French curriculum, so that option is also there. And she even said it gave her a headache when she first started because she didn't know anything. But her child is speaking French, and that's what she wanted for her child. So depends on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go? Aisha? Biggest mistake that people make around, I guess, their finances when they're planning to move back.
Okay, so I think a lot of people, they move emotionally as opposed to financially. They move because it's December. They move because they move because they're.
But you're shouting though. You're actually yelling though.
They move because they're frustrated with the UK, but does it financially make sense to just up and move to Nigeria? And people get confused with your living expenses, which is your day to day, and then the relocation costs. Like in the UK, you can get a lot of things on finance. Here, if you're getting a flat, even if you're renting, you're buying upfront. Your car, you're doing it upfront. You're not doing paper. You're not paying for things like
monthly.
Everything is upfront. So there are two different costs that people don't necessarily think of. And I think people underestimate how expensive uncertainty is in Nigeria. If your car breaks down, there's no insurance that's coming for you. You'll figure it out. You'll pay that money and you'll move the car. So if your light goes, if there's no electricity, like all these are all things that people don't think about. They just think about the emotion attached with, I'm frustrated with the Western world. I want to enjoy myself. And that's great. But make sure you're finances make sense before you do that.
And everyone's finances looks like drastically different depending on how you move, right? If you have kids, school fees, tuition, all of that. If you're, single and you're looking to live on your own, then that's the full cost of the rent. Also, rent is 1 year in advance.
Yeah, you pay for the whole year. Although that paying for the whole year will be the same as 1 month in the UK, but it's still upfront. Just saying.
Us, we're doing first and last, and we're shaking. I remember the first time I heard that, like the full year before, I was like, "Whoa! How do young people move out? I guess they don't." That's the thing. There's a whole like cultural difference as well, right? Okay, so your biggest thing is don't just move emotionally, move financially, and the relocation costs are also upfront. One of the costs that I didn't even consider was just literally moving all of my stuff. And I didn't even have that much stuff. I really didn't. But it ended up costing like a decent amount of money that half the time I'm like, I don't even need all these things. I was so irritated, but like at the end of the day, you don't know until you're in the middle of it and you're trying to navigate that process. So thank you. That's interesting. Oh yeah. Biggest mistake people make before moving, planning to move back when it comes to housing, shelter.
Okay, that is actually a really good point. So I think the biggest mistake that people make when they're moving back is that they want to do it on their own. You don't have to do that. Your parents are here. Go and live with them. Housing is expensive. I know Aisha said that it's 1 month. It's not 1 month though, babe. Have you checked rent?
Now, when now.
Okay, perhaps. But I know that like someone was looking for a 2-bedroom in Ikoyi and she told me her budget was 10 million. And like I could not stop laughing because I wasn't even trying to be rude, but I was like, okay, sweetheart, I can't help you because we're gonna waste both our times and I can't. There's nobody I will send on this mission that will not curse me. So please, let's just respect ourselves. Cause like so a 2-bedroom in Parkview now, I mean, you have maybe like 20 hours light. It comes with, security, all of that. But it's like 25M for 1 year. And lots of people say, oh, pay 2 years up front. Now, if you have a really good job, yeah, dead ass. And that's rent alone. I'm not talking about agency fee, which I will collect. I'm not talking about legal fee, which God is so good because I also collect. So I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about the caution fee that the landlord will collect. I'm not talking about, do you get what I mean? Like there's a lot of things to consider. And then you also have to think of relocation costs. You have to think of the cost of like transferring your things from one place to another. You have to think of the interiors. If you don't like how the place is to do this thing costs because I also do this. So I know. And like, it's just a lot of things that you have to reconsider. And the problem is, especially when people are relocating, you don't want to come back and go to a fixer-upper and then have someone do it up for you. You want to come back to the comforts that you have. And that's why I always say, take a minute and go and live with your daddy. Like, it's really not that, it's not that pressing. There was something I saw recently on the I Said What I Said podcast, and I think Jola was referencing the fact that, what did she call it? There's like I don't know if she said babyfication, but like, we're like adolescents for such a long time in Nigeria.
Yes.
Because
infantilization.
Because we kind of have to be like, I know before I started paying rent in Lagos, it was pure stubbornness. And because I do what I do, so why can't I live by myself? Or why can't I pay my own rent? That kind of thing. But it wasn't like, nobody was chasing me. I wasn't skinny. I just wanted that, because I did the mental health cost price, and then I figured it out. But for a long time, I was at home and I was chilling. Like, I want food. Do you guess? Like, it's it's a thing where I don't think that you should put pressure on yourself when you first come back. I think that if you have the family and if you have the people that will support you, that you should ride that out for as long as possible before you decide that, okay, I can do it by myself. So that's what I would say, essentially.
Okay.
Oh, it's another thing. I would also say that be careful about coming back. Like, if you do decide that, oh, I want to live by myself, that's fine. But I would be careful about trying to find housing before you come in here, because that's also another gap that we have. I tried to fill this gap back in 2018 when one of my friends was coming back from Shell. She had such a big budget. She tried to find a house before she landed, and like, that would have been her biggest mistake, because some of the places that she was seeing when she got there, that's not what she was seeing. Do you get? So I would say you have to be on ground first.
Instagram versus reality.
Real life, because it's something that you have to be on ground first. I'm hoping, that eventually we'll be able to, like, change from this like low trust society where you have to be here first. But for now, don't try and moving somewhere before you land. And if you can, stay with family until you're able to stand on your 2 feet. That's what I'd say.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. I didn't realize it was 2 years up front. I thought it was one.
No, they changed that a long time ago with the laws, but landlords are still the ones that hold up. Yeah, they don't implement it. I mean, I hope so. Fingers crossed.
I'm out here really learning a lot. From a career perspective, a lot of the people that I've seen move back have done a couple of different things. One thing that seems to be true is sort of the opposite of what you're saying in terms of like, don't find housing before you come back. A lot of people that are moving back find jobs before they come back. Right. And there's many different ways that you can do it, right? Your career is so expansive and is so big, right? I think that we've all been fed the ladder sort of metaphor, which is, I'm on this step, then I go to this step, then I go to this step, and I climb the ladder and I get to the top, right? What a lot of career coaches, people in my industry are talking about right now is something called the career web. So instead of thinking about your career as like one and then next and then next, you want to think of your career as a product that has features and services that you can lend out to different people. So you can either lend that to an employer from a 9-to-5 perspective. You can lend that out to individual clients from an entrepreneurship perspective. You can lend it out as a freelancer or consultant, right? So you have a couple of hours there. I want you to think about your career very differently. Right? If you're thinking about moving to a new country and you're thinking I'm moving to a country like Nigeria where there are so many different ways to make money, it would be such a disservice to yourself if you were to just stick in that box that you're used to, which is I have my 9-to-5, right? This is the opportunity to actually experiment. And if you start thinking of yourself as that career product rather than that ladder, then it expands the opportunities that you're looking for. So mistakes that people make are trying to first move without a job. I don't recommend it. Actually, that's the biggest one, moving without a job. Get a job first and then move, right? Or get a remote job. Hello. Can we talk about that? Right? Get a remote job from anywhere that allows you to work internationally, or better yet, the word I was going to use is not right, but sell your services, right? As an entrepreneur, right? A lot of folks that are in the corporate space only ever think of themselves as 9-to-5. This is the only way I can express my marketing understanding. This is the only way I can express my communications. This is the only way I can express. No, you can 100% give 10 hours to this company, give 5 hours on this project and get paid. And again, consultants also get paid more, right? Because they don't have to pay the full package. So they'll just give you your money up front, right? There's so many different areas that you can navigate your career, right? I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I have one-on-one clients that I help with in career development and business development, but I'm also a consultant, right? My background is HR and diversity recruitment and hiring. So companies will also say, hey, come and build out this program for our university. Come and build out, our strategy for hiring in this particular space. So at any given point in time, I can be the super corporate girly, or I could be like, sitting across from somebody that's trying to blow up their lives and like be petting them and saying, it's okay, don't worry, me too, let's continue, right? So there's many different ways to think about your career. And I think the biggest mistake is being closed-minded and then not like having something concrete before you move. And I think like Nigeria is this very specific place where you do need to have that, because like you said, the costs are high and upfront. And if you're used to like credit societies, that mentality doesn't even work. I remember I was talking to someone. I was like, yeah, you just put it on your credit. He was like, there's nothing like credits. And I was like, wait, well, like, but how do you pay for stuff for your business if you don't have? He's like, you walk first. I was like, wow, okay. Very different mentality. You have something to add?
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
credit cards. We don't have, like in the UK, I'm not sure about the US, you have like a credit score, and that doesn't really exist here. So it's literally who you are. Like I've given approvals for credit cards based on, it's Dangote, okay, you should be able to pay back. It's not available to the average person. Or obviously if you work in a bank, they'll give you a credit card, but you can't just go on an app and apply for it. We don't have that. We don't have those structures in Nigeria. So everything, you actually need to have the money there, tangible money there to pay for.
So if you're not someone that's good with finances and managing and budgeting, you might want to learn, because if you're used to living paycheck to paycheck and having space and gaps to your credit covers the gaps, or the like timing of things of, that client is going to pay me in 30 days, but the girls are going to Dubai in 20. So, am I just exposing myself? Okay, no problem. It's a thing, right? When you spend most of your adulthood, right? Or you're growing up, your formative years growing up as an adult in a different society that does have credit, you pick up some habits. So definitely an adjustment. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to say that, Aisha is right. It's like, even in, let's not even talk credit card now. Let's even talk about mortgages. Like, how people can buy houses. You have to give me upfront. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people are buying up houses upfront. So you have to have 200M, or if they want to be nice, they can say, pay 50% now, and then you can put the rest over a span of 2 years. 2 years to pay off a house of 500 million or 400. You know what I'm saying? It's nuts. And like, there's like a mortgage scheme that the government is working on in Abuja, but I registered for that thing maybe 4 months ago. They didn't even reply my email. They didn't acknowledge that such a thing ever happened. But I know that, like, so it's always a thing of like, not the average person. I know that back in the day, this was when I was in secondary school. I know that Diamond Bank used to like do mortgages for people and stuff like that. This is a long time ago, but most banks are not doing that now because, again, low trust society. And so even in terms of buying a house, like most of my friends in the UK now, I can't really speak for anywhere else, but in UK now, they've bought their houses now. Some people on their second property. Do you get what I mean? Like, we finished school that year, so everybody can buy a house now. In Lagos, God is good. Like, he's been fortunate for the industry I'm in, so I'm able to have certain things, like be able to create certain things. But if it was that I should buy a house, I cannot buy a house now. Like, no matter what it is that you think you're making, you can't just buy a house up front. It's 300 million, 400 million up front as one go. We don't have credits, we don't have mortgage, we don't have things like that. So you need to plan very well.
Okay. Practicalities, right? Before we're talking about the sentiments, right? Okay, so we'll go into specific areas now and we'll talk about how to plan. Aisha, we'll start with you. How much financial runway do you realistically recommend people have before moving back? Yeah.
Realistically, you need you need about 6 to 12 months of like your living costs. Living costs is, I'm not including your relocation costs. That's just, am I going to eat? How much is it for me to eat? How much is electricity? Your basic necessities. You should have some of your relocation costs. So again, I'm speaking as someone that my family's in the UK. My mom, my dad, my siblings in the UK. So I didn't have dad's home to go to. I had to rely on like uncles. Another thing that you need to have is emergency costs, because you need to have like an emergency fund, because Lagos is somewhere where anything can happen. So if you work for an employer, for example, I was given a car by my employer, so I didn't have a car cost. Within 2 weeks of me getting this car, as in the covers were still on the chairs, downfall hit me. My whole bumper was on the floor. That's a cost that, even though the bank pays for it, it takes like a month. So I had to pay first, and then they paid me back. So you need to also factor those in. So it's not enough to say, there are some countries where there are systems in place that can support you. But in Nigeria, you're not getting any grants. You're not, unless you have a business idea and you want to go to Tony Elimele Foundation, or you're not getting support, again, unless you have family. So I think realistically, for you to survive and actually have peace of mind, you need around about 6 to 12 months of your living expenses. So whether you save that from abroad or save that from wherever, just have an understanding, okay, what's my price, your Lagos lifestyle, your real Lagos lifestyle, not your Instagram lifestyle, your real Lagos lifestyle. What is it? What do I spend on a day-to-day basis? What do I spend every month? What do I spend in a year? Break that down and understand that that's the amount of money you need to have sitting there, not that you're going to accumulate, that you have as at now before you relocate.
So what does that look like, right? So someone left Lagos 10 years ago, they haven't been back. They don't know how much things cost. The other day I was chatting with one of my friends, and she was like, yes, I went to Hartley's. I said, Hartley's?
You got money. You got Hartley's money?
Like, Hartley's? I said, those of us that live here, we don't go to Hartley's. Right? It's a grocery store. But, you obviously have to somewhat be here to know, like, what is the pricing? What does it look like? So I guess my question to you, if you were going to live, like, maybe a medium Lagos lifestyle, and not, again, like you said, not an Instagram lifestyle, what does that look like in dollars and cents, pounds and pennies? What does that look like?
Let me speak on like me. If I'm talking about my basic living expenses, is like, I can survive on, and I'm not including, again, there's a difference between living costs and relocation costs. I can survive on like 1M a month. Why are you looking at me? I can survive on one. That will get my food. That will do. What else do I spend on?
I live at home, sis.
Huh?
I live at home, and my budget is low 1M.
No, but how? But what are you spending on?
Hey.
No, wait, no. Outside, that's why I'm saying the difference between living costs and so what are you spending on that's more than 1M?
Well, I mean, I have my personal trainer.
No, I can't. Yeah, because I'm not paying for a car.
Okay. Yeah, petrol is a
No,
cost.
even fuel. How much fuel? My fuel is like, I spend like 40K.
To be fair, I do a lot
week.
of things on like.
No, 40K a week. Go on.
It's really lifestyle.
I guess it's lifestyle. It's lifestyle.
Because
It's
really,
lifestyle.
well, no, but hold on.
'Cause
What do you in a month?
in
What
a
do you spend
month-
on that is not lifestyle? I'm saying basic. What do you spend on?
Basic.
That's why it's
What is basic?
Food,
Eh?
though. I'm not including going to what's it called? Going to restaurants, going to slow. I'm not including all that in your
Okay,
basic.
so I live at home, so I have no food costs.
Okay, so you have no food cost. So what is your 1M going on?
I was saying it's lifestyle, right? We talked
That's-
about it.
that's my
I do
point.
actually have a budget, but I have a personal trainer, I have a therapist, I do a lot of things on my body.
They're not basic.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
That's
have,
not
but I
basic.
don't have basic. Well, to me, I need to work out. That's the basic cost.
Even gym, I'm including gym in my own.
I guess everyone's lifestyle is different, right? Like from a basic,
But no, but I think that it's defining what basic is.
I guess it's defining
because
what
obviously if I
basic
want
is.
to live like how I actually live, it's not one end. But I'm saying basic because that comes out. That is my driver. That is my food. That is my cleaner. That is all. That is what I'm calling as basic. It's not. It's not. Everything else is extra. Those are things that are like those are wants. They're not needs. On your needs or.
I guess because I live at home, a
That's
lot
even worse.
of those needs are covered.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm talking about. So I have this space to like want the things that like I couldn't afford when I was there, like $700 on a personal trainer there versus $150 here. There's a bit of a difference, right? So I'm living a different lifestyle, I guess.
No, the thing is, our lifestyles would be different. It's just that, or could even be similar. But I'm saying, I don't live at home. I live for myself.
Yeah.
So when
That's
I'm
the
talking
biggest
basic,
difference,
it's
yeah.
literally food. This is my driver. It's my cook. It's my cleaner. It's fuel.
Your paying stuff.
Yes.
Your necessities.
My necessities.
Okay.
I can't think of. Any restaurant is not included. Any outing, any enjoyment, I'm not including that in my
Subway.
basic.
Okay, so basically what you're saying, it's more, but if you're just
Yes.
thinking about
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
Yes. Oh no, I spend more than that. Clearly, I spend more than that. But I'm saying that. Yeah. Exactly. You're probably under. Because
And I told her what my budget for this was, including like paying like staff. She's like, it's not possible.
it's
She's like, that's too low. That's too low. I was like, it is now. Like, you're not including other
it's
stuff.
not just
Yeah.
spending yours on luxuries.
yeah. Because your basics are covered. Your basics are covered now.
My basics are covered
That's
for
why.
the most part.
That's why you can do that.
Yes.
So we on
So
the same
I'm very
page.
yes, we are on the
Okay.
same page. I thought the entire budget
No,
was
no.
yeah. That's why I was confused.
Even they were looking at me like I'm mad. No.
Anyways, medium lifestyle basics, I guess. But then again, if you're going to move back, you want more than basic. There's a reason you're moving back, right? So when we say medium lifestyle, you're not, on 6.5 trips a year. Maybe you go, you have a normal-ish lifestyle. What would that look like?
But I can't. The thing is, that's a hard question to
That's the
answer.
thing about
It's
Lagos.
difficult
Everything is
because
so
You're-
yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
There are people that
You
your
can-
expenses include children. Mine don't include children.
Yeah.
But mine include random trips to Abuja.
Yeah.
You can't put one figure. That's why basic is easy because that's the bare minimum. That's the minimum that everybody has to do.
That's hard. I guess what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give someone an idea of what to save for, because you said 6 to 12 months, but that could drastically be different from person to person, place to place, experience to experience.
So that's
Do you
why
know
I
what I'm
said
saying?
you need to know what your own expenses are.
Yeah.
So you as an individual, what lifestyle you want or what lifestyle you currently have, how much is that? Do you understand? You will know what your lifestyle
So,
expenses
I'm not
are.
talking about me specifically. I'm talking about someone that
Anyone.
hasn't been in Lagos in like 10 years. So what they understand about what something should cost is off from what is like real costs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How do you gauge? I
Again,
guess
I-
you have to
You'd have to speak
you
to
have
people.
to yeah.
You can't come to
Fair.
Lagos and know nobody.
Yeah.
You have to speak
Fair.
to somebody. Like the
Fair
only
enough.
reason my landing, because the first time I entered Nigeria was in 2020. I didn't grow up here. I didn't go to school. I didn't come here as a child. It was 2020. But I have a very, very strong network here. So the landing was soft. So I was able to come and kind of things were patterns for me.
Yeah,
If you don't have that, you need to talk to people.
Yeah.
You can't just come and be saying, oh, no. You have to have spoken to one friend that you met in December. Talk to them. Find out like what they do on a day-to-day basis. Because the thing is, after December, everybody's busy.
Yeah.
After January, everybody's navigating their own life. They don't have time for you like that. So as early as you can, find out from people the kind of things that they do. How much on average does that cost?
And it takes a bit of time. I remember it took me like 6 months to figure out my budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's even fast. People are still figuring out their budgets.
Really?
It's not like, the thing is, I feel like the more people that I speak to, even my clients that actually have money, or like as in for you to be in my portfolio, you can't have less than like $250K for that you're invested with me. Otherwise, you can't be in my portfolio. And these people still don't understand their budgets because they're just getting money from this government. They're getting money for this contract. And again, they're lump sums. They're not, you can't, it's not like a 9 to 5 where you can plan, okay, I know I'm going to have this amount. No, you just get one contract that has landed you 500K. I had a client recently say to me, oh, he's got a bond and his dividend payment is 1 million. For your dividend payment to be 1 million, and everything I'm saying is in dollars. For your dividend payment to be $1 million. Yeah, not naira. Not naira. No, we don't do that. We don't do that. For it to be $1 million, how much have you got invested?
Yeah.
And even him, he's like, I don't know what to do with it. Because it's literally you got a contract, you met somebody, your network is your asset class. You met somebody that gave you your contract, you did the contract, you invested in a bond, you're receiving 1 million as dividend, and you don't know what to do with it because it's kind of new money to you.
Yeah. I think what I'm hearing from you is personal finance in any country. Like, if you don't understand personal finance for yourself as an individual, then it's going to be really difficult for you to navigate it when you're transitioning anywhere. Because to your point, the only reason it took me a few months to figure out my budgets because I was budgeting where I was coming from. If I was trying to learn about budgeting and then trying to learn about the society and then it was too much navigation to do. You need to have that sort of personal finance skill. And then being able to adapt it for a society like here. Do you have something to add?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think this conversation also brought back to mind that the journey to moving back is actually a long one. As much as I said in the previous panel, it happened quickly, but it's something we had been thinking about for like 2 years. So the process started 2 years ago, but the point at which I knew was the right point was 2 years later. So in that 2 years, I had come to Nigeria a few times. You'll have conversations with people. You'll spend time here. You have an idea of how much things cost. There's going to be a period where, even you said you've done some back and forth. Yeah. There's going to be a period where you need to, spend some time just understanding the environment. I think you said you came in 2020 in COVID, but you would have spent time with your uncle. So you need that time. So it's not a decision that you can, for me anyway, at the stage in my life with the family and kids, you can just wake up and say, I'm moving to Nigeria. It's a process. So, and I think with time, in that 2 years, it helped me understanding how much money I needed to earn to be here, to be comfortable. It took 2 years, and it took speaking to different people. I'd spoken about people at business school. Like, I would literally ask them questions about their lifestyle. How much do you spend on this? And I would ask them, if I earn this much, what kind of life can I have? Where can I live? I would verify it. There are websites I used to go and check to see how much rent would cost in certain areas, thinking about where you want to live. And even at that, I still needed a year to even fully settle, because when we came, we stayed with family for a year. So if you do have the privilege to stay with family, you should. And then again, that's more information gathering, which gave me more insight into where we want to live, for instance, and how much we need. So I think it's a journey. I think it's hard to answer that question. What you said, you need to ask people. When I think back, it took 2 years for me to move. Even though at the time I moved, it happened quickly, but it was 2 years of processing, talking, speaking to people about different opportunities before we actually moved.
Thank you for that. I guess this is why this is really important, what we're doing today. Even getting people to think about what they need to think about.
In fact, I would say it was 4 years of me. So I moved after 2 years, and then my husband moved after. There was the aspect of things that we needed to tidy up in England, because we had properties there. The mortgage was, there are so many things you need to think about. Mortgage needed to be renewed, so somebody had to stay back and do all that. And then there's the moving process, moving stuff in our house from England to here. We did multiple shipments. So it's actually, it sounds...
It's a process.
Yeah, it's not dirty December, I'm staying back.
If you're
It could
like
be.
21.
Exactly. That's the caveat. If you That's the caveat. If you're 21, I'd spoken about how I moved back earlier in my life. In 2012, I had just graduated from uni. I was in my 20s. So that was completely different. There was no planning. I just graduated. 2 weeks later, I was in Nigeria. My dad was like, "Why are you here?" I said, "I'm moving to, I want to live in Nigeria." I had no job. But those are the risks you can take when you're younger. Had no job. I think a week later, I started working at a law firm close to the house. I didn't like it, left, started law school. Then started at another law firm. Then I moved to Lagos, started at Ododom and Belosagi, and that's where my career took off from. But again, that was me being 21, 22. So it depends on where you are in life. And then I also had the no family, no husband to think about, just a boyfriend in Lagos. You can do more at that stage.
Yeah.
So if you're at that stage, I would encourage you to actually take that kind of risk. But if there are other responsibilities, then
Think about it. You can still take the risk.
It's a
but
2-year
think that
process.
It's a calculated risk. It's not a flight ticket.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Let's talk about sorry. What do people need to decide before they start house hunting?
Okay. So I would say you should decide your location, where you'd want to be, and then your location, like where you'd want to be, and then probably your budgets, because that's such a big factor in Lagos real estate. So Lagos is similar to some places in the sense that if you're going to a certain location, you have an idea of how much you're going to spend. But places like Abuja, that's completely different. Like in Abuja, you can have like a block of flats here, and maybe they're paying like 8M in rent, and your neighbor's like the block of flats your neighbor is paying, they're paying like 4.5, and then behind some people are paying 20M. Location doesn't really in the same neighborhood. Like that's how Abuja is. I think I've never really understood it. This is why I didn't dabble there too long. I was like, okay, you guys are doing something here that I don't get, so I'm out of here, back to Lagos. But like in Lagos, so I would speak on Lagos. It's pretty much straightforward. If you're coming into Lekki 1, if you know you want to live in Lekki Phase 1, you know there's a certain amount of money that you would pay for a 2-bedroom. Like you should look at like 10 to 12 and up. If you're trying to go further down, so maybe like Chevron or stuff, and you're looking for a two-bedroom, you should come down a bit to like 5. Some people are like 8. It depends. All these costs, like Aisha rightfully said, these are semi-recent, because from like 2018 to 2021, it was still sensible, and then everybody lost their mind, and then now in Ikoyi, people are paying 40M a year in rent. It is nuts. So just kind of keep that in mind. So I would say, go where your pockets can take you. Decide what location that you want to be. If you're a parent, decide the proximity to certain schools, because Lagos has a lot of traffic. When I was a kid, I used to live in Bagada, but I used to go to Corona Ikoyi. That traffic was crazy. But my mom made that decision because her office was in Ikoyi, and she was to be in the car with us when we were going to school. Bear in mind, there was a Corona Bagada. My mommy said no. Nursery, primary school, we went to Ikoyi. And we lived in Bagada. It was just after we finished, and I said, okay, we're moving to Lekki. But that traffic traumatized her. The bad word, I don't want to say it. It traumatized me so much. So I know I wouldn't do that to my kids. If I want my kids to go to Corona Ikoyi, I'm going to live in Ikoyi. Do you get? I will hustle so that I can live there. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. Like, so a lot of my friends now that are parents, their kids' school, just down the road. They don't have that kind of energy to be sending. They even want a thing where, you know, unless they're boarding, do you get? And then maybe Atlantic Hall that's far, all these kind of things. But if they're like that CIS, there's a CIS, in Lekki. My friend, they can walk to that place. And she said that's what she wants. She doesn't want, because her child was saying, oh, BIS. So she said, there's traffic. Please, we're not going to BIS. You're going to the one that is behind us here. So you just look at the proximity to all those things. I mean, we're not like in, I really don't know about the UK or America actually, but I think that there's some places that your kids have to attend school around you. You don't have to do that, but in Lagos, there's a lot of traffic. So I would say consider that very clearly. Because I'm telling you, I still have trauma from going to school because they wanted me to be inside the car with them. I was sleeping stuff, so I'm not even spending time with you. So what are you talking about? To go all the way across that third mainland bridge every day, waking up at the crack of dawn, just because they want you to attend certain schools or they want to be, no, you have to consider all of that. So consider the location, consider your budgets, and then, as a parent, you have other things to consider, like, proximity to the schools you want and things like that. So those are the things you should look at when you're trying to find housing.
Yeah, that traffic one is a thing.
That was crazy.
That proximity to school is also very important because it can affect your quality of life as well. Like what you said.
So as a parent, then, do you find the school first and then find the location, or like how do you?
So, okay, when I first came, like I said, I was staying with family being in VI, and my son's school was in Ikoyi, so it wasn't that bad, but it's still kind of, because at the time, it was one car that would take him, so I have to wait for him to drop him off and then get to work. So, I mean, it wasn't bad. But then even at that, there were times I would be in traffic, but it was okay. But having that experience and thinking about moving schools for him, I started to look, what made the decision between two schools was how close it was to where we were going to live. So right now, he's even closer to home. So that's made it easier. But I think I've been lucky in that we haven't had to be in a lot of traffic, because VI to Ikoyi is not bad. But being in the same vicinity, i.e. if I'm in VI and the school is in VI, that's much better than having to go across a bridge it just makes everything easier. And it makes logistics easier as well.
I also want to add, because, Ibemi had said that, like, you should get a job before you come in. So you can also look at closeness to your work if you can afford to, because again, rent is a bit crazy in Lagos. I have a friend that works in a law firm in Ikoyi. He wasn't able to escape when I escaped, sorry for him, and he still lives, although I think he built his house in like Shongo Tedo or something. So sometimes this man is calling me at 11 o'clock and he's inside traffic trying to get back, because I think right now the traffic isn't as much because people haven't really come back from all places they're going to and stuff. But by next week, it's back. Do you get what I'm saying? It's going to be December level traffic back for 9 to 5 hours. Do you get? And so you're battling going from central, like going from Ikoyi all the way down to outskirts, because that place is outskirts. Let's call it spade a spade. And it's just a thing of like, they will not, I know Nigerian employers, they will not let you work from home. Meanwhile, all you're doing is reviewing documents.
I let my team work from home.
Okay, shout out to you. My team doesn't work from home.
Your team is in construction.
They come to sites. So, fair enough, yeah. But like, I mean, if we're not doing anything, they don't have to come to the office, only if we have a meeting or stuff. So I think us younger employers were a bit more progressive. But like when I was working in a law firm, I would be there till like 11, 12, sometimes 1 a.m., 2 a.m. My parents are blowing up my phone. I'm like, I'm in meetings. And then I have to drive back to my house in the night, So it was crazy. And I'm even lucky because I used to live on the island and my office was on the island. But those people were living like in Oju, I can't pronounce some of these names, but they were living very, very far, like on the mainland. Some people were living in Ikorodu. So it's far. Let them go home. It's wickedness, honestly. Unless you're doing litigation, why are you coming into the office? I didn't really understand this, but they said that there's a work culture we need to embrace or something. I don't know. But yeah, I would say, yeah, this was even after I was working in office during COVID. That's when I decided to leave law firm in that 2020, because what they said was anybody that has a car that can drive should come to the office. That's literally what they said.
In a global pandemic.
In a global pandemic. I go back to the office maybe like May 2020, and they say 2 days out. Yeah, that's just because they locked down March. And then by like, they say you're not entering bus. What's your excuse? You don't need to enter Uber. You drive. Nobody's in the car with you. And that time, I mean, I had a driver for a short period, but then I couldn't have a driver again because two of us would be in the same car breathing each other. It's honestly, think about the job you get. Sorry, not to infringe on somebody else's own thing, but really think about the job you get if you're moving back, because that was what part of like fueled my decision to leave practice, because I just thought to myself, like, I mean, I was a commercial lawyer. Like I didn't go to court. I was actually never went to court. I was doing company secretary, so also these like big oil and gas company. We're quite a bit of big clients, and my office would send me to them, you know, based on packaging, I guess. But like, so I really didn't need to be in the office as much as I had to be in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just a thing of like sometimes Nigerian employers can be quite old school is what I'll say, to be polite. And yeah, just think about the job you get when you come in. Think about, you know, proximity to where it is, because there was even another job I got after that. It was like a tech company, and I did chief of staff for a while before I left. And when I was coming, some of the things they used to learn me, the package was so big. You know, we work from home 3 days in a week. As soon as I came into that office, everything changed. They said, no, you must come every day. You have to be till 5. So yeah, you just have to like, you know how to just keep it in mind when you're picking a house, basically.
Yeah.
All those kind of factors.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay. We'll go to Quinette. What do parents often underestimate when moving back with children?
So I'm trying to. I'm not sure if this is answering the question, because you're asking about underestimating. But I think for me, it was the other way around. I thought it would be really, well, I guess it was the age of my son as well, because he was 3. I thought it would take a while for him to settle, but he settled before me. So that was actually a surprise. I think within a month, he was fully settled, loved his school, had friends. Whereas I was still, 6 months in, I was like, oh, is this a good decision kind of thing. So I think that's one thing. 2, I think going back to the school factor as well, making sure you're picking the right school. There's actually a lot of choice in Lagos. A lot of choice, different kinds of teaching styles. If you want a school where it's literally just learning through play, there is one. If you want a school where it's purely academic, you will find them. So I think, underestimating the resources that are here at that level. I'm still in the nursery, primary school level, so I think I underestimated it a bit. Like I said, my biggest fear was whether we would have the resources that we needed for him, but I've actually found that it's a lot better here. So I think mine seems more positive for kids than negative.
Yeah.
The social life here for him is a lot better as well. I wasn't expecting that, but every other weekend, the same way as an adult, there's always something to do. For kids, okay, you can't go to the park because there are not that many. There are no parks, but there are always parties. There's one birthday party or something. So they actually have, as you're having Dirty December, they're also having Dirty December. They have parties all the time.
Do we have anyone in the audience that has kids that maybe wants to? Okay, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about kids adjusting, because you also moved back a year ago, right?
Yeah. So,
and how old are your kids?
My kids are 6 and 8.
6 and 8.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right.
Some of us are still going on first dates out here.
All right, you get there. I agree with you. Kids adjusted I feel like I still haven't fully adjusted, but my kids adjusted extremely quickly. Literally, the first day that they went to school, they were like, I love it here, never want to go back. They were just happy. And then the thing with social life, or just like extracurriculars as well, like swimming, there's music, there's so many different things here that are affordable. So that you can put your kids and they can learn so many different skills. There are so many activities that they can do. And I think that combined with like the friends and like, there's a birthday party here. There's always something for kids to do. I agree with like there are very few open spaces where they can just go and like play and that type of thing. But I think the other things make up for it. So yeah.
Interesting. And listen, kids are resilient, right? As long as they know that they have mom and dad, or whatever the combination is in the process, they'll adapt. Okay, let's move over to Aisha again to give us some schooling. What financial systems or habits are non-negotiable for surviving and thriving in Nigeria?
Okay, so one, currency diversification. So don't just come to Nigeria and think, okay, I'm going to convert everything to Naira. Why would you do that? Like, Naira is extremely, or has been extremely volatile. So I moved back in 2023, and the salary I got in 2023 in comparison to the salary I had in 2024 was half. Purely because of devaluation. My actual salary on paper was exactly the same, but because the Naira had devalued by so much, I was actually receiving half of the money that I received when I started my job. So even though I've left that bank, it's still less than I guess what I envisioned it would be. So, and the reason I don't mind that is because obviously I have income in pounds, so it doesn't bother me. So if you're moving, don't move and move everything. Definitely have currency diversification. Pounds, dollars, Naira, all three of them if you can. And if you have other currencies, you can add that too. I think the other thing is structure your cash flow. So if you're somebody that, okay, for me, I'm a big birthday person. I have a birthday fund. Like I literally, as on the day of my birthday, all the birthday money that I received, that is sitting down in the fund that will be used for the following year. Have funds for things, because Nigeria is just so, like, Lagos has a way of packaging your life beautifully. There's always one dinner or one wedding, one event, one launch. There's always something. There's always social pressures in Lagos, which I don't have in the UK. If I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And like, no one's really inviting me like that. How often do you see your friends in the UK? Really? You don't see them. You don't see them like that. But here, there's always something. There's always some social, there's always a social pressure. So you also need to understand what your limits are. And if you don't do that from early, you'll just be spending. You'll just lose everything. So understand your limits from the beginning. Nobody's saying don't enjoy your life, but not at the expense of your finances. You're now at home eating gari and bread. Like, we don't need that. So I think those are the three structures.
I could definitely attest to that, because when I was trialing and I was around for 9 months, I went to 11 weddings. After the 5th one, I started buying Ashwebi because I was like, this is crazy. I know. I was buying Ashwebi.
No, the thing is, so that Ashwebi culture, so is a problem. I've been a bridesmaid now 17 times. I've been a bridesmaid 17 times. So,
Ashwebi girl.
If I'm not a bridesmaid, I'm not buying you Ashwebi because I have the color. Trust me, there's one wedding that I have the color. I'm just not. Why? I have pink, I have blue, I have green. I have the color, so I don't need to buy you Ashwebi. It's not by force. If I'm not a bridesmaid, I'm not doing. And that's a limit that I put on myself, because it's one thing to buy the Ashwebi. You have to sew it. It's not just buying. You sew it. You do your makeup. You do your gele. You do. Please,
it can be quite expensive. Yeah, it can be quite expensive.
Okay, so you know how you said diversify your income. So, for example, my business is in Naira. I don't even have the conscience to charge anyone in dollars because I operate in Nigeria. How can I diversify what it is that I earn? Yeah.
So there's two ways. You can either obviously change it to dollars or change it to pounds, or you invest in dollar funds. You can do that in Naira if you want. I personally wouldn't, because I don't really see the point. But I wouldn't invest in a dollar fund in Naira. You can buy dollar stocks using Naira. I wouldn't do that. I just convert it to dollars. So, for example, let's say you want to buy, what's an American company? McDonald's, for example. You can either buy McDonald's using dollars on the stock market, or you can hedge it. So you're using your naira, but they're converting it into dollars and buying the stock. The issue with that is currency exchange rates are fluctuating all the time. So the naira that you get back may not be the naira that you put in the first place. So keep your dollars in dollars, keep your pounds in pounds, keep your naira in naira. If you're using naira to invest in Nigerian things. If you're using dollars to invest in US related stocks. If you're using pounds, invest in pound related. Dollar and pound is not that much of a difference. But what I'm saying is keep your currencies as they are. So if you're earning a certain amount of naira, some of that should be for investment purposes. So move it to dollars, because our currency is just not, it's not about the strength of the currency, it's the volatility of our currency. No, like our currency is getting stronger, but it's still as in Tinubu can say something now and it can just drop like this. So we're not stable enough for you to have everything in naira. I have a client who had a proper argument with me around the fact that everything he does is in Nigeria. The people that he suppliers in Nigeria, like just everything is in Nigeria. He doesn't understand why he needs FX. I'm like, but do you travel? You travel now. The things that you could afford before when you travel, you can't afford them now based on everything being in naira. If you had just if you had converted your naira like 5 years ago to dollars or pounds and just left it there, you didn't invest it all, it just was sitting under your pillow, it would be worth more now than it was then. So you need to have that diversification as a safety buffer. You can't, it's not naira and it's not just naira, it's any currency. I never had everything in pounds. I've always had other currencies. So I'm not specifically talking about naira, but I'm just saying that naira specifically is actually very volatile. So yeah.
I feel like Aisha needs to do a masterclass or something. No, honestly, because this is very interesting. This is her bag. Yeah, this is what she does. But we can maybe bring her back on the return to do a little something. But yeah, I think it's really important, all the things that you mentioned, especially about the currency diversification. Interesting. Hey, wow, Lenin. You stopped.
What?
As soon as I got any money I made, all these my agents and stuff, I would change it to dollars immediately. And but then I can't remember why I stopped doing that. I think I had to change it back because my industry is very capital heavy. So sometimes you need naira on ground, and like because I work for myself, sometimes I have to like put in so much and all those kind of things. But like at some point I realized that I've almost depleted. I still have a UK bank account, but I need the card, I need to tap in and stuff. But like I realized that like my money is not there anymore. I'm now dealing in naira, and I can't. As she was talking, the fear that was creeping into my
babes.
because I'm like, no matter what money you think you have, like as long as it's in naira, do you really have any money? Do you get what I mean? I'm more asset rich than cash rich. If I wanted to, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's. I don't say it's a scary place to be, but it's not pleasant,
There's nothing wrong with being asset. It's not a bad place to be. But for example, like you can still be cash rich and your money's not idle. So I have so many investments in like funds that I can easily liquidate within hours. So that yes, I have assets in the UK. Most of my assets are in the UK. I don't have that many assets here, to be honest. But I still have funds that if I actually need naira. So as at now, if I need naira, because that's another thing, I don't keep money in my account. As in, you can never see more than maybe like a couple hundred at a time or a couple 100K. It just doesn't. My money's always doing something. I don't like idleness. It stresses me. So, for example, I have like a dollar fund that I can liquidate in 1 hour. So if I'm really desperate for money, I'll liquidate that fund and convert it to naira. My app can do it. My app can convert it to naira and I will pay. My bank Standard Chartered. But then the other thing with doing that is there are some things. So for literally the other day, I was out with my friend and we went to order food. I wanted shrimp. I wanted all these things. I have food at home, but I wanted all these things. And I didn't have enough naira. And I thought, am I going to liquidate my investments to go and be eating shrimp? Like there's shrimp in my house. It's not even like there's food at home. There's actually shrimp in my house. Yeah, I said I'm not doing it because it doesn't make sense. But if I had the naira, I would have bought it. So another thing is money is also like psychological because
100%.
I know that I'm like that. I know that if I see it, I will spend it. So I've put structures in place that make me think it will take me too long to liquidate this thing. So I'm just not going to buy it. It's not by force. So having those systems in place, even down to like at uni, they don't do it anymore. They had this thing in the UK called a location ISA, where you open a bank account. It's like a savings account, but you open it in a location. I live in London. My uni was in Loughborough. So I opened this account in Leicester. And there's no online banking. There's none of that. The only way you can take the money out is if you go to Leicester and show your ID. So every month till now, every month money goes to that account. So I don't even know what is in that account, but I know that it's there. And there's nothing. And the thing is, there's been times I've felt, I want to go on holiday. I'm not driving to Leicester. I'm not gonna do that for a holiday. Like, as in, it makes you think I'm not driving to Leicester because of holiday. I will find the money elsewhere. Or I'm not going. So putting those structures in place work for me. And obviously people are different. So different people have different structures. But you need to have those, especially in Lagos, because you will just be spending and spending and spending. And then you'll be doing this thing where you convert it to, it's this amount of pounds. Stop that. Stop it. You don't use Western world experiences. It's only no, it is not. It's 20,000 naira. Stop that. So that comparison, you can't be doing that when you get here. If you get here, you need to live like a Nigerian. You can't be doing that unless your income is still in FX. Which, for example, my income is in both, but even at that, I still have expenses in the UK. It's not as if I have 2 mortgages running, so I can't just be. When I first got here, I was just converting. Doesn't make sense because I have to pay for things in the UK. I have to pay for things here. So the naira that I earn here has to work for the naira here.
Yeah.
Because my brother's at uni and I'm sending money every month. I can't do that if I'm sending it to go and be buying shrimp. Doesn't make sense.
Hey. Sorry. It's real. I know the second panel was like practicalities, right?
They don't have it anymore, but they have something similar.
That first panel was, very, very emotional. Let's talk about our stories. Second panel is coming with the smoke. Okay, we'll do rapid fire and we'll get out of here because we've been here for too long. Let me see. What does this soft landing actually look like in practical terms? And each person can answer from their industry and then we'll close out. Or we'll take a question from the audience and then we'll close out. Soft landing.
So do you mean from the perspective of coming with...
Yes.
For me, I had a soft landing, very soft landing actually, because like I said, we stayed with family. So for a whole year, I probably had 0 expenses. So I was just spending on things that on wants rather than needs. Also having extra family support in the form of grandparents for my son. So because we'd been in England, they were just so excited to have him around. So there was that aspect as well.
No need for babysitter.
Yeah, we have your nanny and everything, but there's just extra people. So that was soft landing for me. Also coming into a job. I mentioned I moved in August. By September, I started my job. Job provided me with a car. So all those things helped. I think definitely staying with family helped to really find my footing as well. It didn't put pressure to move, so I had time to think about where we wanted to live. Gave us time to save. We're able to save a lot in that year, actually. And just having the luxury of making decisions without the pressure. makes a big difference actually, because if I didn't have that support, if I didn't have a place to stay or anything, you might find yourself in a situation where you're just staying anywhere, or it may not even come because you don't have the time to look. I mean, you mentioned about people trying to get places before they come, and it could have been a bad decision. Was it you that mentioned that? Yeah. So just having that luxury of time and not having to worry about necessities. And it was such a breath of fresh air, because I had mentioned I moved back to England in 2016, and I was working. The thing about the UK, you're just working to pay bills, constantly paying bills, worrying about one bill or the other. Having a year of not thinking about bills was like nice. After years of like, doing that. So that was what soft landing looked like for me. I understand everybody's experience is different. Not everybody has a family to come to, but if you have that, I would say use it for as long as you can. But obviously you always get to a point where you eventually want your own space, but just maximize it to the point that you can, whether it's for saving, have a goal in mind, what savings you want to do. Like for us, we had other things that we needed to close out in England as well. So just having that breathing space where we're not thinking about Nigerian expenses at the time, and just, that was soft landing for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the fear of repeating what Quinette has just said, that's pretty much, I think I mentioned already, that's pretty much what a soft landing would be in terms of housing. Just having community, I would say. So even if it's not necessarily like your parents, like Aisha stayed with her uncle, right? So, or you can, like, friends that you're really close to or stuff like that. Like, for example, when I was living in Abuja, I lived with my uncle, my mom's younger brother, for the most part of it. That was brilliant. That was very enjoyable, because I had just come back. I just moved back, and it was like having my own space. But then when I had to go back to Abuja, because my company got a job there to do some construction there, I stayed with my friends rather than like spend money to get a hotel. That was a bit soft for me. Do you get what I mean? And even though that's not like returning, but that was still soft for me, because I got to save so much money and I could just stay with the friends that I had made there, and it was very easy. But I understand that like not everybody has that. But in order to have a soft landing, you have to put some things in place, like you get the job then, or like, for example, some of them have said that like their jobs got them cars and stuff. Car expenses are such a huge part of your monthly budget in terms of fuel. I remember when I first came back, when I first came back after uni, and I was driving here, because I've been driving since secondary school. So I was driving here, and to fill up my car, which is an SUV, was 6,800 naira. Now it's close to 60K. Yeah, to fill up my car.
So 10 times more.
10 times more in less than 10 years. That's insane now. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. So it's just a thing that, like, because I remember, I can't even think of putting 10K in my car now, because where will it get me? But that time, 6'8", and I was a big girl. My car is full. And that was an SUV. That was not a joke. So it's just a thing of, like, having things to mix together. If you don't have to spend that 60K a month and someone has gotten you a car, or if you can stay with your family and you don't have to pay 25 M a year in rents, like those are things that are soft landings, you get. And don't take for granted that you have this kind of community, because it's very important, is what I would say.
I think one thing to add there is even just the psychology of it, right? Because when you're abroad, the entire society is pushing into hyper independence. Right? You feel like a failure if you have to move back in with your parents.
Yeah.
Right? The narrative is you get the job, you move out, you live in your penthouse apartment, you pay your bills, do you know what I mean? That's the goal. But then in this society, it's almost the reverse of like, oh, you want a soft landing, come home, like let people like navigate this for you. Like it's not like taboo to come home and stay with family, which is so different from,
Yeah, outside. Like, actually, as women, especially if you're unmarried, you're not living by yourself. Because I remember when I wanted to move to Abuja and I had just come back, I did Pencom and I did National Assembly, and I was like, oh, I can afford. And my parents were like, I hope you're not sick. You're going to go and stay. How old are you that you think you can live by yourself? You're going to go and stay with your. I started paying rent very, very recently. Do you get? So it's a thing of like it's a complete opposite there. 'Cause
Yeah, it is.
my cousin is a medical doctor, so she does this. I think she's still a trainee doctor, so she does like different different rotations in the NHS, and then so she recently had to move back to London, so she moved back to her parents' house, and I remember like she had a whole moments where she needed to like she felt really bad because she was living by herself and she was chilling and and she had to move in with her parents again because first of all the cost of living in London is actually insane. When she told me she was paying the rent there, I was like, oh my god. But so she had to go back, and I remember her feeling she had to first, at least she had money to like redo her bedroom and like just feel like this was her own space. But I remember that she felt, so this was very recently, she felt so bad about making that transition. I was like, girl, if you're living in Lagos. No, she wasn't. She's in London. Oh, okay. I said, if you are living in Lagos, you come and stay in your auntie's house. Like, nobody's chasing you. Like, it's not a thing at all.
Yeah.
So the difference is very, very clear.
And it almost takes a lot to sort of let go of that hyper independence for a bit. Because even just asking for help, like, I have like aunties and like uncles, my parents will be like, oh, and I'm just like, no, I got it. And then my mom was like, relax. Like if somebody wants to help you.
You're doing too much.
For a long time, everything. Oh, let me get my car door. Oh, now I go to Rennie's because I want that water. My car is over there. Like it's like even tiny things like that, it like rewires your brain chemistry because you're so used to being independent, hyper, and masculine.
Yeah.
Just trying to like survive. No wonder why we're burning out, right? Quinette's laughing.
This is even from like a childcare perspective because when I was in England, we still had a nanny, but it's very different over there. Like you're still very, very hands-on. And I remember when I came, I obviously got a nanny here, and I was the same as I was in, and everyone would look at me and be like, you're not letting this nanny work, like you need to chill. So that's one aspect. And secondly, my younger sister's thinking about moving to Nigeria. And just going back to what you said about living by yourself, so she was talking about, I didn't say anything, she was just like, oh, when I come I want to get my own apartment. And everyone she says that to just said, your sister has a spare room, go and stay with her. You're not getting an apartment. Like, you're not married, you're in your 20s. It's just not the norm in Nigeria. So if you're thinking about doing that, like I would say don't, if you're skeptical about moving in with family, or you're worried about how it would look because over there you're kind of trained to be hyper independent, don't worry about it because that's actually the norm here.
Wait, before I answer the question, I want to just add, the other thing is, even landlords don't want women to be living by themselves. They don't want you to be there because they think you're a runs girl. They think, like, as in, I remember when I even moved, it was so hard for me to get a place that I actually wanted. And even where I am now, she asked for my work ID before I moved there, just to make sure that I actually have a job. I'm not relying on one sugar daddy somewhere. I'm not like, she wanted to have my ID before I moved in. Because there's a lot of places that I tried, they were like, oh, are you married? Are you engaged? You have a boyfriend? They just won't give it to you because you're a single woman. So that's the other thing. It's not even easy even if you want to go, it's not easy. They don't want you there. So
just different in societies, right?
Different. What was the question again?
This question was soft landing
from
a finance perspective. Have money.
Basically. So the thing is, it's actually closer to what they were saying. So when you think of like assets, you think of like property, you think of stocks, you think of your network is an asset class. Like having a good network is the reason I had a soft landing. My uncle was the MD of a bank, so he had a guest house that I was staying in. And then I'm also in finance. So he was also introducing me to people that were helping me. They had family that they could stay with. Closer family than me, but it's still family. So your network is the thing is, your network is important anywhere, but in Nigeria, like most of the moves I've made, most of the people that I've met is through other people. So that's my soft landing was because of that. But then also I usually have this thing, it's called like a peace fund. So it's like, okay, if I know I want to be in Nigeria and I'm not doing anything for 6 months, how much would I need in that 6-month period? So I had that before I came. So I knew that last, even if I don't want to start work, I have that to survive on. But I didn't even use it because I was living in my uncle's guest house. So what am I spending on really? So your network, I think your network is like the thing that helps with your soft land. If you don't have a network in Nigeria at all, forget it.
She said, forget it.
Forget it. Build it. Yeah, before you come.
Even just in terms of visiting, like even when people say, "Oh, dirty December," you still need people that will take you to the places to get. When my little cousin came into Lagos and he was like, "Oh, that he wants to get a table." This boy is 20 years old. He said he wants to get a table at library. He wants to get this or this. So I need to, and like he's lucky that I have friends because I made a couple phone calls for him and sacrifices had to be made, but based on like these are my guys, they were able to get a little 20-year-old boy with his thousands of friends. How many friends? And all these boys come together share bustle. Yeah. So I was able to like hook him up with that, and he was just like, "Oh man, you don't know how great." Even his dad called me. His dad I was staying with in Abuja. Like these are my people. Like he just moved back from he just moved back from the UK. He's going to law school now. But like his dad called me and like, I heard you really took care of my son. I was like, network, baby, because if not, I don't see how a 20-year-old boy can call me the day on Friday and say he wants to go and to have a table in library. You're lucky I grew up here, bro. If not, you cannot go to library. Stay at home. Do you know? It's very key.
Yeah, I think.
No, I was just gonna add because even the job that that gave me the soft landing was through network. It was someone that introduced me to the CEO of the company, and we're talking, and then I got the role.
And the second part of it is use it, which is the like letting go of that hyper independence of like, oh, I don't want anybody to think it's anybody that is make. My sister's face. You don't want to think, one auntie opened the door, and it's like actually that is the point here. Learning so much. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate your time. But we've come to the end of our program today. Thank you for staying with me. I appreciate it. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate this conversation. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad that I feel like everybody in this room learned something. Like I learned a ton, right? And I'm so glad we recorded everything. So we'll be able to share it out. We'll get a picture. Can we all get it?
Everybody say Shaki.
Actually, all right, we're going to do a video, and we'll just say the return.
Sure.
Okay. You want to kind of say it for you?
The return.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. There's only one more thing I want to do, and I want to shout out my team. So can I have Dami and Chioma, please? Please, 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 please. These are the lovely ladies that support me. We have one more team member, but she works remotely, as do they. Thank you to Dami and Chioma for helping us out today. Dami has been working on this event tirelessly for 6 months, okay? Every single day I wanted to quit. Every day. Right? And then we say we still need to confirm that person. I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. Right? She didn't let me quit. This is the only reason why we're doing this is because Dami persevered. Or else I would have sent a text and said, welcome back. Right? So I thank you so much for everything that you've done. Dami's about to have a week and a half off because she worked through Christmas. Get you a Dami on your team. But thank you so much for everything that you do. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys coming out. Like, I couldn't have done this without you, like quite literally. Okay, we are done. It's a wrap. Thank you. Oh.